Hello, Professor. I'm Jnanika Vijayakon here. So, I would like to do my presentation based on the company called Target and their expansion to Canadian market and the failure and the challenges they faced during their expansion in the Canadian market. And from my point of view, I would like to come up with some recommendations for their failure during this challenging situation. So, moving forward, I would like to say that I have done this analysis of challenges using the CAGE and the Porter's Five Forces frameworks, which we learned during our program. So, as an introduction, I would like to elaborate some facts about the Target Corporation. So, they were founded in 1962. Their headquarters are based in US, and it's a real retail giant, and it's well famous in US, and they wanted to enter to the Canadian market, and they entered to the Canadian market in 2013 with 133 stores. However, they couldn't do their business successfully in Canadian market, and they had to exit in 2015 with a huge loss. So I identified as challenges they faced. Some of them are the supply chain inefficiencies, cultural problems, and higher pricing situations. So, when we consider about the Canadian market, we know that the Canadians, they expect high quality products, and they consider about the pricings as well. And since there are so many other retails, the competition between the other competition competitors is really high in a country like Canada. So mainly we can identify like Walmart, Loblaws, Canadian Tire as main of their some of their major competitors, and they might have faced geographic challenges as well as economic and cultural differences compared to US in Canada. So these might be challenges that they have faced. So I would like to further explain the Target's global marketing strategies. So these are some points that I have figured out as their marketing strategies. So they had upscale discount retailings, and they were really heavily reliant on private label brands, and their expansion strategy was aimed at replicating US success in Canada. So as I explained earlier, so the challenges faced in the Canadian market could be identified as cultural missteps, because the cultural wise every country there is a difference, so we need to identify the exact differences between the countries, geographic locations, everything, because before we moving into a new country when we are expanding our business, because we had a retail company has to localize their products, and they have to address their products according to the customer preferences of the company they are planning to expand. So I think that is very important thing. And also operational failures they might have faced during they operating their retail shops in Canada. Moreover, I think they might have poor supply chain management, sometimes stockouts. So during these cases, the customers get disappointed, and that might lead to a great failure in the target country. So moreover, to identify the exact scenario, so we could do apply the theories what we learned in global marketing. So there we can do the CAGE framework and the Porter's Five Forces to identify the challenges in depth. So in CAGE framework, we can find the cultural distance, administrative distance, geographic distance, and the economic. So CAGE framework is designed for to identify all these challenges. So compared to target company, when they are expanding their business to Canadian market, so here we have identified the cultural, administrative, geographic, and economic challenges that they have faced. So moving forward, when we enter a business to another country, or when we expand it to another country, especially like Canada, which is a huge country, so they have to consider about the Porter's five forces analysis. We are identifying the new entrants, buyer power, threat of substitutes, and supplier power, industry rivalry. So these things, Target could have identified all these cage framework and the Porter's five forces. They could have done a proper analysis first, and they could have figured out the strategies or the methods to um, move into the new market. So I think in their failure, there might be some places where they have not they have not addressed these challenges properly. So, when we think about the cultural and the market dynamics, we know that the Canadians value trust and loyalty in brands. And I think the Target was not able to establish the loyalty due to poor execution, and they couldn't do the operations successfully. So, I think also they had a lack of tailored products offerings for Canadian preferences, because here I would like to point out the thing that when we are entering to a new market, localization, that means adapting your products according to the market that you are entering, according to the preference of the customers. So you need to localize that. So I think the Target was failure to do that. So I think, as I said earlier, so when we evaluate the adaptation, so the limited localization efforts, store layouts, maybe the product offerings, pricings, maybe didn't care to the Canadian preferences, and also the focus on the local customer behavior and the demand patterns were insufficient. So that those might be the situations, the scenarios behind this failure of the target company expansion in Canadian market. So with this scenario, I think the key learnings that we could take out are the importance of market research. Before we expand to any country, any market, before we need to know the cultural and the geographic understanding we should have, and we should expand gradually in that particular market rather entering to the market and investing funds and doing the business. It's better to get a low risk, and even though sometimes you get low control, but low control, it's better to go with a low risk at the beginning of expansion. So in my content, I would like to recommend following things, like the conducting a detailed environmental scan with the frameworks we provide, and also invest in technology for better inventory and supply chain management. And they could also start pilot programs for individual market research, and like the brand awareness and localization strategies, adapting to new localization strategies, and to identify the customer expectations. So in this case, if I were the CEO, obviously I would start with a pilot program to test the Canadian market. So I would do a thorough Canadian market research, and then I would definitely focus on the localization, pricing, product offerings, and the store layout. So, and I think moreover that, I think we have to have good supplier relationships and improve logistics to ensure smooth operations, because Canada is a huge country. So we need to know that everything goes in a smooth way to have a successful business. So I think the biggest competitors, as I mentioned earlier, are Walmart, Loblaws, Real Canadian. So Walmart is one of the major biggest competitive. So they have the established presence here, and they have competitive pricing and strong logistics network. So when entering to a country like Canada, so we need to have a proper knowledge, and we need to have good techniques to compete with these competitors. And so I think Target was a very popular corporation in US. So their failure in Canadian market gives more things to think to everybody, and to think about the market expansion with the cultural and geographic things, and with a proper analysis, thorough research, and then adapting with the localization techniques. So these are the references that I have used for this presentation, and I would like to thank everyone for watching this. Thank you very much.